Hi everybody, welcome to another one of my ZBrush tutorials, and today we're going to show you how to make a hammer in ZBrush. And I spent a lot of time working on how to do this and making a really good hammer. So what I'm going to show you here today is how to make a hammer. But anyway, I'm going to turn off our light box temporarily. But the approach I took on this is the hammer itself, the head, and the claws is what I spent a lot of time on. So we're going to show you how I'm going to do that. First off, we're going to start with a Cube 3D. I'm going to drop that to the palette, hit edit, and I'm going to show my Y plane for the time being. But there were some modifications I made. We'll go ahead and make that in color mesh. As far as the sculpting, I started out with this cube and I went into the deformation palette and to see what I could do as far as kind of getting a free shape or a shape to build on, which I later skin with dynamesh. So what I did is experiment with a taper tool. Now with a taper tool you can do this. That's on the X and Z. But what I found out, you can step back, Control Z, I just turn on all of them, and so we get a shape kind of like this. And that's kind of like the main block of the hammer where your handle goes through. It's a good rough start. So anyway, that's what I did there. Now, before I skin it, we're going to go into the geometry here. I'm going to smooth this up and divide it a couple times. And then we're just going to go ahead and delete the lower subdivisions. And we're just going to go right into dynamesh. And we're going to make a dynamesh. And so we got our dynamesh. Okay. So we go to our subtools up here, and we've got this dynamesh object. And so we're going to go ahead and append a cylinder. 3D here. And we're going to turn on our transparency. And the way this started out, I've got it set just like I want it. So we've got our cylinder here, and we're going to go back and kind of repeat the same process. We're going to divide this up a little bit and smooth it out and delete the lower. And then we convert this to a dynamesh. So now we've got this other cylinder, and you can see how this, we'll begin to see how this all works together, and eventually we'll have a nice little hammerhead here. So we've got our move tool, and we'll stretch that out a little bit, kind of align it, get our move tool aligned a little bit, kind of in the middle. And what we want to do is, actually what we need to do is, I'm going to do some initial sizing here. We want to make this a little bit, go to our deformation, and let's see, we're going to size, I believe, on the X and Z. That's not what we want. Now we're going to X and Y. Okay, we're just going to make it a little narrower. And now we're going to resize it in the Z, make it a little bit longer. And now we go to our move tool. We'll kind of move it forward outside the block. And I think it needs to be a little bit bigger, so we're going to scale it up overall. And go like that. So that's going to be one part of the hammer block. So what I've been doing is to keep track of all this, we're going to rename this. I'm going to rename this to hammer block. That's kind of our initial block metal. And we're going to call this cylinder 1, hammer cylinder 1. Abbreviate there. Call it 1. Now what we're going to do, we've got this selected. So we're just going to go ahead and duplicate it. And take our move tool. And you can hold down the shift key to keep everything aligned. And now we're going to resize this. First we're going to make it a little bit not quite as big. Something like that. I'm going to move it back out. Because you hold down the shift key to keep it aligned. Now we're going to resize it all together. Like that. Then we can go to our move tool. And kind of like that. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Alright. So now we've got, I think we'll make it just a little bit bigger. And maybe we'll narrow it down a little bit. That's about it right there. So that's the end of our hammer there. Now what I did, I experimented several ways to get the claws on it, and I finally got a solution here. So we got our cylinder 2, that's the front end, that's our longer cylinder there. And this is our block. We want to work on the block. And I experimented with several methods to get this. But I finally come up with some way to make put a nice set of claws on a hammer. So we're going to mask off part of this. And we're going to hit that center button, and I'll show you why. We kind of get into this, so we can actually make another plane visible here. We'll do our Z plane, so we can take advantage of this little alignment axis there. And we're going to draw out a rectangle, like so. And if you hold down the space bar, whoop, like that. Anyway, we're going to draw out a rectangle once again. And if you simultaneously hold down the space bar, you can position this. Make it a little bit narrower. Maybe just a little bit wider. Put it right about there. Okay. Now, we just have this front end masked off, so it comes through. So we'll hold down a control key, we'll turn off that centering, and we'll do the control alt, and that will clear the mask on the front. So that just leaves us with the mask on the back. Now, what we want to do, we want to invert the mask. So this is what I did. And we'll show you how it works this out. We're going to go to deformation, and of course looks like we need to offset or size. You can do either one. You can offset and bring up that. You'll need to offset in the Z-axis. You can do your offset like that, and you get this piece out the back, or you can size. See, I don't think there's a lot of difference. It's the geometry is about the same, so we'll do that. Now we got this piece out here, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to demonstrate how I got this, how we get that V cut in there, and how we can clean up the geometry. Now, of course, this goes to the clip curve tool, which I don't think I've demonstrated that before. But you can hold down Shift Control, and you have these brushes up here. You have these clip curves. And I'm going to use a clip curve, and hopefully this will work out. I've ran through this several times. But okay, you draw a little line like that. So I think that's what we got here. And you tap the Alt key twice, and you make it like this V cut. Now see, we got this V cut. Now one thing, it kind of freaked me out initially. I go, well, that's not very clean. So I went in with the smoothing tool. If you go in the smoothing tool really close, and you do that by holding the Shift key down, and you get just the tips of these things, you can get rid of most of this. But sometimes you want to get in really close, so you hold down S. You might want to decrease your brush size, and I was able to you have to get somebody to get really close on them. But you can get these things knocked out. You have to see this at a different angle. Like this. Let's zoom out. I'll make our brush a little bit bigger. Yeah, so this was the issue that I was getting that curve to. I'm trying to not affect too much of the geometry because it will close that gap up too much. You just get right on the tips of these things. You can get a pretty good. Now see, there's a little bit. The geometry's a little bit. You can probably turn down the smoothing now and kind of work some of this out. It's not perfect, but for purposes of this demonstration, I managed to get it. Let me back up a couple of steps here, because I was able to get it a couple times. Try this again. Try not to affect the inside geometry too much. And it's kind of a booger. Okay, we're going to go with that now, because I want to wrap this up and show you how I got this thing. I think with the move tool we can make some adjustments there. But that's how I got it started. So we'll pull this out a little bit more. And let's see. Pull this out just a little bit more. Now what I did, and we can try and blend the mask a little bit. Or at least make find out about this little trick. Nope. Go back there. We'll just proceed from here. I found out how to use the topology masking earlier, but right now, just to get this finished out, what I did here is I took the deformation and I used the gravity Y. We'll mask it off a little bit more. We'll just mask off. Porcelain. It's not doing me right today. So, back to this. Well, I'm going to back up here. Okay. So we're going to blur that mask to start off. I think that's what helped a lot. Now we'll pull it out. I believe that was a problem. Okay. So back to work. Now I want to go back to this clip curve. Yeah, that even looks better. I got it on the first try, so we're going to go with that. So scratch what I did earlier. I blurred the mask before I pulled it out, and that helped a lot. So we can take out, and also it also gave you the shape. You're going to get part of the shape too. This world. So Let me smooth out that inner part a little bit. Lovely. Now, we could probably smooth that out too. Some days you just come up with a technique and can't seem to pull it off in the tutorial, but this will work out pretty good. Plus, the blurring of the mask before you pulled your claws out was the most important part. So I apologize if, but that looks pretty good. I mean, gee whiz, I spent 3 weeks trying to figure out a better way to make a hammer in ZBrush, and so I decided I wanted to share with you guys. So that's what I got so far. Now we can move on and clear some of these masks, because we can do a lot of our final work. But what I want to do is now that we can still go in and do some sculpting here. But what I've been doing, I simply merged the tools and then I went from there as far as adding details and features. So we're going to go to ZPlug Subtool Master, and we're just going to merge these guys. We're just going to merge only. And so now I'm going to go ahead and hide these guys. So now you've got, you got a fairly good looking hammerhead there. And so, as you can run it just like this, or what I did is, you can kind of get creative in here. Do some additional smoothing. Of course, the smoothing is up a little high now. You can bring that down a little bit, and do a little additional smoothing. What I did earlier was I wanted to add some, these things are molded, and sometimes when they, I guess, if they're made in the factory and somebody's, they're probably molding 100 at a time. So they break them out of the mold, and somebody takes a grinder and grinds them down and does a final shaping after they're tempered, and then probably they're lacquered to put paint on. But what I did, I just kind of went into my clay buildup, and to kind of give this kind of a, kind of an artistic look, you can go in here and just add some, make it like it's not so perfect, add some, just kind of go in here and just sculpt around real quick. You want to maybe knock off these corners, add some bulk to it, just kind of feel free to kind of, use your imagination here. And actually, if you want to be kind of lazy about it, you can, when you go up around the cylindrical parts, you can turn on the Z symmetry, and you can just do all your features just all at once. It looks a little lumpy there. Kind of like that. And then, of course, you can go back and it's too rough. Smooth it off. Kind of give it that, fresh out of the mold. It's been hit with the grinder a little bit, and it's going to be another inexpensive hammer you might buy at Walmart. Something, not a lot of time on making it pretty. And smooth all that out, give it that rough, textured metallic look. And at least that's what I did here. So yeah, just kind of rough it up a little bit, maybe add a little more, smooth it back out. You got kind of a gnarly looking hammer there. And I was trying out some of the different metals. We got this Dutch metal, and it looks pretty close. You can work with some of the modifiers here, because it looks like it's got some reflectivity. No, it's got a lot of metal. We want to add some more metallicity to it, maybe lower the diffuse a bit, or play with that a little bit. I was looking at some of these other ones. You could do this noise radius. The anisotropic, I believe, is kind of a metallic look. At least it is in other programs. So anyway, you can do that. So you get kind of a roughly molded hammer there. And something I did with this last hammer I did, you can go into the surface thing, and you can, it's over here, surface, you can add some noise to this, and you can go up here and you got several little sliders you can play with. You can add some noise to it like that. Maybe take up the strength a little bit, not too much, something like that, you know, and scale it up. Kind of a rough looking hammer. And what's cool about this, I've used this before, but the thing is, before, when you close this out, you want to go to and say apply to mesh. That's what you want to do. So now you got this really rough looking hammer, and of course we're going to go on and move on, and we're going to add the next thing here. Of course, we want to fill this. So you go to RGB, MRGB, turn off the add, go to the color document, and fill your object. So now you'll see here we've got our hammerhead filled. Now we're going to make a handle. So actually we can go ahead, we can use this as a handle right here. All we need to do is rotate a little bit, and then we've already got it skinned. So we want to select that, and it's just going to be a matter of adding the material to it. So we'll just rotate this, and then move it over here, in the center there, and add some length to it. That is going to be in the y-axis, I believe. And we'll go into our deformation and size it up. Give it some length. And now what I've been doing is I just add the base material to this. Just want to make sure you fill it. So now we got it filled with our base material. I like to give the hammer a little shape. So we need to, I want to make it kind of oval. I like making the oval handles. And let's see if I can guess which one I need to. Yeah, that's the direction I want like that. And maybe we should blow it up just a little bit more. And then we can pull back here, get a move tool, pull a little shift key, and kind of position this. And I'm going to shape this handle up a little bit. I'm going to mask off a little bit here, and blur this mask out like that, and invert it. And you know, it's the handles sometimes they're kind of shaped. So what we did here is we give it that kind of that finished look. That the end's a little bit bigger than the bottom. So So we got that. We're going to clear that. And it's got a little wood sticking up here at the top. So we can move the handle down just a little bit more. Yeah, okay. So we might want to squeeze down. The hammer looks a little wide. So we can go up to our subtool. And let's see, we want to, I believe that's the Y axis. Maybe make it a little narrower. Let's see. That's the wrong one. It's going to be the X. Let's see. I narrow it down a little bit. Yeah. Well, actually, we'll size it overall to keep the end of it round. Yeah, that looks. Yeah. We'll just go with that. We'll just go with that. It looks good. So what I want to do next is I want to go into Spotlight and texture up our handle. And so we'll temporarily turn off the floor here, and we'll go up to Spotlight, which is in our texture section, and we want to I've got a texture here I like to use for wooden handles, so we can go up here and real quick light to the end here. We'll find this texture is way back here somewhere. You will use this one. We'll just double click on that. Light box. With the texture. Select that image. Add it to the Spotlight. And if you guys haven't ever used Spotlight, I recently for digital tours, I just took the whole section. I watched every one of them. So you can come in here and just do so much with this. We'll even scale it up a little bit. Yeah, we're not going to cover the whole hammer. We're going to get our Spotlight adjusted. So you can just hit Z and just start painting. And it just puts it on both sides. It's really cool. So you can get that wooden handle texture right on there, and Shift Z, that turns it off. And so that's our hammer. And like I said, we're going to make sure we bake these materials on. So we get the G, and drop, hit G again, pick it up now, turn it a quarter turn, G, drop now, pick it up now, G, drop now, and pick it up now, and G, drop now, pick it up now, and we'll get the texture baked right on there. Yep, now, get up now. So I believe we'll make sure we get the hammer covered too. So we'll do the same procedure. Pick up now. G, now. Pick it up now. G, drop. G, pick up. G, drop. G, go. Yep. Yeah. There we go. Now, G, got now, and G, not now, G, got now. So there's your hammer. You can always, when you make your own, I mean, that's a pretty good looking hammer. I mean, you maybe size that handle up. But a hammer's a hammer, you know. So you want to want to display our hammer. And actually, we can turn off the Z. Yep. We just want the X on. And like I say, this is another little trick I learned to solve your grid size. And go to draw, and it's a little easier than unifying, I think. And so you get a nice plane to set everything on. Of course, turn your perspective on, and we'll set up a nice view angle for our hammer. Nice way to display it. If you have any dreams of becoming a hammer salesman, you know, put your best hammer in the display case right there. And also like to put a nice neutral background in there, and we'll go to our lighting. Flip that around. And there's your hammer. Of course, you know, when you're displaying your hammer, you want to make sure you account for gravity. And so what we'll do here is we'll draw out the rotate line, and we can just don't forget to weld this thing together. What we want to do is merge visible. So we want to be able to merge this as one. There we go. Now we got our hammer merged. And of course we go back. Now we can rotate our handle down and turn our perspective back on. BPR. And of course, you can when you render it, you can go in here, smooth your normals, and do the shadow. We can back that floor strength down, and maybe center it just a little bit more time. So that's the hammer in ZBrush, and thanks everybody for watching. I hope I'll be making some more tutorials, and I want to get into doing the topology, and I think the next thing I want to do is show you how I made the double-bladed axe and how I got it to, you know, look right. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. That's we'll be seeing you soon, and make sure you watch my videos. It's the only way I'm earning any money right now. So thanks a lot. Bye.